As rumors of a deal with the IRGC continue to swirl, Iran is coming back online after months of digital silence. What you're about to see are videos recorded during the internet shutdown, the longest in modern history, moments that remained hidden from the world until now.
Baby.
So definitely some upsetting scenes there, also some scenes of inspiration, but no question that the footage coming out that we didn't get to see in real time is pretty savage, as we suspected. So Gand, we'll start with you. What's your response to all this? The internet, partial at least, lifting the scenes that we've seen from the October 8th and 7th and 8th and 9th protests?
Yeah. So I have like a few thoughts coming when I see these scenes. First of all, we need to remember that the internet situation wasn't really good before that as well. They need to buy VPNs, it's just really expensive, but they all do that. It's like buying cigarettes illegally. This is what it means. And second, we need to remember that though the internet is coming back, 50,000 of my brothers and sisters aren't coming back. And we have seen so many footage of people just like the last one. They just get murdered in the streets for asking for freedom. And it's so powerful and it's so inspiring. And what hurts me the most is that those people lost their lives asking for freedom, and the world justifies the regime that does these things. And it's the same regime that we need to be aware that they are conquering and really getting into the mid society of our children in the West everywhere. And when we're screaming free Palestine and intifada, this is what intifada looks like. Going against civilians who ask for freedom, who ask for daily lives, and just hurts so bad. My soul burns. I can't see it. I can watch it. And people need to wake up soon.
It is really sickening. I mean, to see the types of people who have denied that thousands of Iranians were killed by the regime, people who are regurgitating the nonsense claim that only 3,000 were killed, which is what the regime claims, as if that's okay. Oh, we just killed 3,000. How is that normal? And the thing that upsets me about everything happening now is that you're absolutely right. The international community is propping up the regime that is committing these crimes. I mean, we heard how many gunshots did we hear? Shotguns being fired at civilians on the street protesting. They weren't armed. They didn't have guns. It's shocking.
But how is it that we forget that freedom comes at a cost? And when it comes to civilians having to say, I will lose my life for a different tomorrow because we can no longer do this anymore. And I look at Westerners and just how much they take that for granted, because they've got people that have fought for them on the front lines and still continue to, and they don't even know that the shield that Israel is what the Iranians are begging for. They're saying, thank you for standing with us. We know what you're doing. You understand what we've been going through this whole time. Explaining that to a Westerner is, almost giving a vegetarian child a steak. They won't digest it very well. Right. And at some point, the kid's either going to have to get used to it or be like, no, thanks. This is what I believe. This is how my body does things. And this is the only way that I see the world. We need to get to a point where we are shifting the culture with one question is, what are you willing to do if you are in a situation and your freedom was truly being questioned and you needed to fight for it? Because most of these people wouldn't. They're very good at, waving flags and going with their tea towel kafiyas and everywhere else, regurgitating words and scripts that have been given to them by other people because that's all that they believe. But the same way that the regime knows that those people are useful idiots is the exact same way that we aren't getting to a point of seeing the other side, because the majority of people are in this lost bubble. They're stuck.
It's worse than that. I think, you say they won't fight for their freedom. They don't think they deserve freedom because that white guilt and that whole concept of I'm here because someone else suffered and I don't deserve. And that has been pounded into Westerners for so long that you have rape statistics that are so horrific in places like Sweden, but they are migrants. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to talk about it. So it's okay to sacrifice white women because these poor black men
Girls,
or
they're
brown
usually
men, you're right,
teenagers.
girls, they've been this, they have been wiped out of their own belief. They have, they don't believe they deserve the freedom. They will lay down. Not only will they not fight, they will lay down and say, come and take me over, because that's what they've been trained to do. That's where you're at.
It's exactly what God said always writes about with suicidal empathy. I mean, it's the best two words to describe the situation, and it's absolutely true. But I would say, I would take it even further than suicidal empathy, because it's not just suicidal, it's also sorry. But if we look at what's happening with Iran, it's also homicidal. Of
course.
I mean, if you can watch that footage, if you can see what's happening, what the Islamic Republic has done, even forget about everything in the entire region, okay? Even to their own citizens of the country. Yeah. I mean, how do you have any principles whatsoever if you're propping up a regime that is doing this and they're going to do it again? It's just,
especially when people call themselves humanitarian, organizations and aids. Why are those organizations not being the loudest ones sounding the alarm, saying, this is really where we need to be focused? No matter what's happening with politicians or the Straits of Hormuz, we need to be looking at human lives. No one is talking about that part because they're so, the regime, there's something else that's going on. Well, there's oil, No. Are you going in there instead of looking at the next flotilla that's going to come with, whatever, there are condoms and drugs? There are people that actually are proudly willing to give up their lives for a different future.
No, they can't.
And the privilege that Westerners have is beyond me. I still, to this day, 35 years old, after having become, lived in the US for over 18 years, I don't get it.
It's more than privilege. It's more than privilege. They want chaos. Look, I was an environmentalist before it was cool and then not cool again. But if you look at Greenpeace, if you look at Greenpeace, just look at Greenpeace's Instagram, Greenpeace UK, USA, they talk about Palestine, they talk about the environmental damage of Israel's war. Nothing about Iran. Nothing about anybody else. Every single cause has been taken over by the Palestinian cause. Why? Because the Palestinian cause is simply chaos. The idea is to bring chaos to the West, and that's what they're fighting for. This is a shield. The Palestinians are a shield towards moving towards chaos. So it's not even just privilege, because privilege means, I'm privileged and I don't see it. They want to take down their own institutions and countries because communists have decided that people in power are wrong and therefore chaos is better than building.
Can I just add that it's so crazy that those people don't understand that these regimes, these organizations, those people who live under those, I'll call them rulers because this is what they are. They just rule their lives of the people who live underneath them. They actually make them scream in the mornings, death to America, death to Britain, death to the West. So I'm sorry, but they're asking to kill you and you don't see it. You don't see it. Just go there once. I believe that you want to be on the right side, but you're not seeing the whole truth. And this is just very upsetting.
When they say death to America, it's not a love letter.
No.
I mean, it's not a
not only the bad guys.
This is really how I feel. That there's no context.
Yeah.
And then the same people will say, quote Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. 2 seconds later, live, love, laugh, it's going to go, guys, no, that's really not what they meant. And the same people, just like that, if you like, look how quick propaganda works, especially with Westerners, that small clip of that child with, after all those gunshots, with all of those that you know, being injured right there sitting on the gurney, is probably going to be used by the Palestinian side because they're going to use it as propaganda.
Wouldn't be the first time that we've seen that.
No, well, that's true.
But I do want to shift a little bit to the discussion of the negotiations, because I think weirdly it actually relates to what we just saw. I mean, from my perspective, I am not in favor of any kind of a deal because I don't believe that one will be upheld, even if they agreed to everything that President Trump said he wanted today. Then what? We can't trust this regime. That's the major issue. And of course, any kind of deal that they're talking about now doesn't address the majority of the issues. It addresses one, the nuclear issue. Right. And even that is like, oh, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed in the president, in his administration, and even some of the people around him for entertaining these ideas in a way that, honestly, on the Iranian people. I'm really fed up with it. And to have a president who kind of began this whole conversation by telling the Iranian people, don't stop protesting, help is on the way, is unbelievably, like indescribably cruel. And if you're going to say things like that and not step up, I don't even have words. I don't even have words for this. I'm disgusted that it's not even on the agenda. And I know that, a few days ago, he shared something about how protesters were killed, et cetera. And, he's made a comment here or there. Why are we begging for scraps? Okay. Not hundreds, tens of thousands of people were murdered in the span of a few days by their own government. And the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, can't do anything because gas prices are too high and the MAGA base is unhappy. Are you kidding me? Sorry, I'm going on a monologue here.
It's fine.
But Bellamy, what's your take on what's happening with the negotiations?
First of all, I was raised that we don't negotiate with terrorists. So why have we reached a point where we keep talking about we're going to come to the table. We're going to come to the table. What's next?
We're begging them to come to the table.
Yeah, but also somehow these random countries keep coming into play. Mm-hmm. After Pakistan, what's next? You know, what's next? Seychelles?
Pakistan has requested.
Why do we care? I know.
Right.
They can't even play cricket, which I keep saying. Not that it matters, but at the end of the day, a country that also does not really, it isn't even anywhere near neutral to have a conversation like that. If I know that my neighbor doesn't like me, but then the one next door is more neutral to go and have a conversation about a, tiff that we've had, I'm going to go to the one that's more neutral because we're landing on neutral space. Why would I go to a country where I know they're against one part of it, but then they're going, we've requested, who are you? Seriously, after what happened with Qatar and everything else, it's just like doors are swinging open from people that are terrorists, not just sympathizers, but, they celebrate terrorism and they call for that and they hate Israel and they hate Jews and they hate the West. But please, we would like a request in order for this conversation to keep going. What conversation? This is what we want. This is what needs to happen. If this can't happen, there's nothing else that's going to go on. The war continues. Ceasefire doesn't mean anything. It's a dumb word at this point in time. What does ceasefire mean?
It's a made-up term that Donald Trump has used to force American allies into stopping aggressive military strikes. Pretty much that's what it's come to mean. Now, I can accept that his intention might be good. I can accept that he's done very great things for Israel, but overall, Hamas is not disarmed. No. Hezbollah is not disarmed. No. The Islamic Republic is still standing. In fact, the IRGC is in control. Nothing has been done to help the Iranian people. So, what was the point of all these ceasefires? What's the goal here?
The only thing I think that may have changed on the chessboard, if you think of it that way, is that from what we're hearing, the UAE and Israel are actually working together in a much more significant way, airstrikes together, and from the UAE, if I'm playing devil's advocate, I said I would, if the ceasefire terms, deal, whatever, would allow other things to shift on the board that would create pressures in other ways, then I'm okay with fewer people dying, fewer missiles flying. I mean, we have our hands full in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. Our soldiers are, every single day, someone's burying their child. So it's very, from an Israeli perspective, not having more people dying is a good thing. I do want the Iranian people to be free. I think it is, and watching these images is absolutely heartbreaking. Again, it brings back October 7th, it brings back Holocaust. It's very difficult to watch. And knowing, the information war is fought in images. And that is why the regime shut down the internet. Nobody has to wonder why that was done. Gaza gets sympathy because Gaza has images. We don't share our dead. We've never done that. It was a whole back and forth with activists. Should we not? We generally don't do that in Israel, and Jewish people generally don't do that. But people win propaganda wars and information wars with visuals, which is why it was shut down. So if a deal will actually allow, just like they rearm and they restock and whatever during ceasefires, if we could get our together and we could do it right, then I do wonder if we could be smart and use that time as well.
Not a real ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think whether someone listens to my opinion or your opinion, it's going to end up the same eventually. We are going to be back at some point to
when
conflict.
You look back at the JCPOA and everything, you see that the regime never stands up to the words. It never, you make a deal with the devil. You think the devil won't play tricks on you? Please. They will just have a little more time, and then they will do something new. They will go on a new terror attack or a new organization, and they will keep funding Hezbollah. Why do you think they're trying to have a ceasefire between the IDF and Hezbollah? This is why they want to keep going. Yeah. They are not trying to save lives. They don't care about their own people. They don't care about the Middle East. They don't care about Trump. They don't care about anything but their ideology. And it's winning. That's it.
Yeah. That's why I was saying, it doesn't really matter even if they came to the U.S. negotiators and said, okay, we'll agree to everything. Okay, then what? They're not going to do that because that's exactly what they've done before. So why are we doing this again? But I do we have a clip of Donald Trump talking about the progress of the deal, or what he calls the progress of the deal. Let's take a look. So what does a good deal look like for you?
Well, first of all, there's no deal that's good enough because the media will cover it. And we're making a great deal. We're going to make it a great deal. Or we'll just go back and finish it off militarily. But this would go faster. It's probably better on a humane standpoint. There's something nice about it also. Save a lot of lives. Whether it's the other side or not, you save a lot of lives. But we're close to a very good deal, and if we can make it good, otherwise we just start up with the Department of War, as we call it. I would rather get a deal because we can open the strait immediately upon signing. The one guarantee that I have to have is that there will be no nuclear weapons. They've agreed to that. And it was very interesting. They originally said, we will not develop a nuclear weapon. I said, well, what happens if you buy a nuclear weapon? So now it says we will not develop or in any way purchase a military weapon. That's a big difference.
He's so proud of himself.
So
I caught them because they said they also won't buy. And this whole discussion about releasing money to them as well. The White House tried to claim that it's not from the U.S. It's their money that's being held by someone else. And then people got upset about that. So then the White House said, oh no, we're not going to do that either. Qatar is going to loan them the money. And if they behave, then we're going to release the money. I'm sorry, we're talking about double the amount of money that was released into the hands of the Islamic Republic before. And what did they do with it? Oh, that's right, October 7th. Not to mention all the other wars in the Middle East that they've started. So this idea that there's no material or life consequences to giving this regime money is insane. I mean, even hearing him say it's going to cost less lives. For whom? Yeah. Less IRGC officials? Maybe. Not the Iranian people. In the long term, nobody in the Middle East.
I just wish he would get on with it, but I'm not saying it lightly.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned, like I said last time, this is his legacy. You've wanted this long enough. You preached about it. You've gone against your base to begin with the, when he actually went into this war. Just finish the job. And I can't do the song and dance anymore of yes, I get it. We don't have enough information of what's happening in terms of intel and whatever. But at some point, sir, I just need the result.
Yeah.
Not how you are going to memorialize yourself because of how you appeased the base and the people that are against the base and then people that aren't even within this political spectrum from the US. So do what you need to do because you're going to be hated either way.
Yeah.
Rule number one from Israel or being a Jew, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So just do what needs to be done.
Yeah. So, Don, what are the Iranian people that you're speaking to saying about it? Everyone I've spoken to is furious.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. So as the Iranians and all over the place think I have these ties with Mossad and government, and bro, you're taking it wrong. I'm just an actress doing but truly, like, they want us to keep speaking up because they know that if they do speak up more than they do right now, they can be killed, they can be like sentenced to death. And even though you're not sentenced to death, when you're in these prisons, you just die there. If you're a woman, dying is much better than what you're suffering there. So it's a lot of rage, it's a lot of disappointment, and there's slightly like echoes of hope. What I feel like, there's hope that Trump won't cut the deal. They won't like do anything with him. Like, they believe that Trump and Netanyahu and everyone involved, they're like businessmen, so they know what they're doing. I hope so, but I'm like, it's too optimistic, and I'm known as being optimistic, okay? But I just really hope that the Iranians will receive the freedom they deserve, because they were screaming for freedom and for Pahlavi to be back, but no one's taking their leader as seriously as they want to. And I'm like, so who are you listening to?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, you know, we have the whole Trump dynamic that I sort of started talking about this with is what concerns me here, because I think Iran is the most pressing issue.
Yes.
But in all of this region, the way that the West, okay, we won't say Trump specifically, but the West has pushed Israel into this position of agreeing to ceasefires, if you can even call them ceasefires, and limiting cutting off Israel's legs, while handing literal survival to terror organizations. I don't understand why this is perceived by anybody as being like a strong policy. It's exceptionally weak. I mean, it's a mockery. Donald Trump held a press conference after this Gaza ceasefire claiming he solved thousands of years of conflict. Like, what?
Where?
Hamas hasn't disarmed. They flatly rejected your ceasefire proposal, which you demanded that they accept. And then you go to the media and claim that the media is lying when they point that out. Now, I'm the first person to admit that there is absolutely Trump derangement syndrome. 100% that exists, and it exists a lot in the media. But when people are calling you out because you're actually wrong and you haven't accomplished the things that you claim you have accomplished, and people are dying as a result, like, there's a problem here. There's a big problem. But I do want to go to our scumbags and heroes, because I know we have lots of stories to share today. It seems to never be a shortage of scumbags and heroes. Shoshana, we'll start with you. I know you have a special one for us this week.
I'm representing also Fleur, who's not here. My scumbag of the week is, not shockingly, Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. This is the first time in the history of the Israel Day Parade that the mayor of New York City did not march and attend the parade. And, I want to say something. You can have your political opinions and you can have your stances on things as an individual. But when you are a public figure and you are supposed to be the mayor of everyone, it takes a tremendous amount of chutzpah to not show up to the Israel Day Parade. You can have policy issues with Israel. You can say, I don't agree with what they're doing, but to not show up, honestly, there's a lot of New York phrases I want to use right now. New York is an amazing city, and having grown up in New Jersey, it was like my backyard. Look, to be honest, I spoke with people in New York yesterday, and they were devastated. They're going through checkpoints. There are helicopters hovering over the parade. It's never been like that. I've been to many parades in New York. It's been fun, and you Italians, and everyone's out, and everyone's having fun. Everyone's celebrating somebody else's heritage and someone else's, feelings of pride. And this year was like a secure situation where Jews felt like this is the end of Jewish glory and feeling good and safe in New York. And I'm going to throw out to Fleur because I know she was on the ground, but I want to just say that this is something that people should be paying attention to when you're looking at the roadmap of how we got to where we got to. This is a very big milestone there. But let's see what Fleur has to say.
Okay, here I'm marching in the Israel parade in New York, and an incredible turnout. The governor of New York and all of the senior politicians, except Mandani, but who needs him? Look at this. I mean, these are march. Who is the scumbag of the week? Who's your scumbag of the week? Oh my God, how many? Well, it's got to be Mamdani. We're in New York City, and the scumbag of a mayor, jihadi mayor, which you discuss all the time on your wonderful show, is not in our parade, and we don't need him. It gives a shit. And I have one simple question. Who is the scumbag of the week, Mark?
That's so simple. One word. Man, dummy. Man, dummy. This guy has made it so difficult.
I don't know. It's hard to compete with scumbags after that. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, I know you guys are all.
You feel like we have to join up. He's scumbag.
Can we skip to heroes?
He really did take the crown on that one.
And who's your scumbag?
My scumbag is the greatest organization on earth that goes by the United Nations.
So moral.
I know. Let's see what they had to say this week.
2 new state actors are listed. Firstly, the Israeli Armed and Security Forces, namely the Israel Defense Forces, Israel Prison Service, including the Qatar Special Forces, and the Police Counter-Terrorism Unit, Yamam, are listed on the basis of credible information indicating continued patterns of rape and other forms of sexual violence, with an increase in the number of verified cases this year. It's not the responsibility of my office to do any verification.
Did you get access to the evidence that is mentioned in this report?
I don't have to access. I mean, like the information is verified with a very robust methodology of verification and documentation. I am a recipient. Right. I compile that information and I present it to the Secretary General.
Right. So, I just wondered if you'd viewed it with your own eyes. Or...
No, because this is not my job. And even throughout the engagement with the permanent mission, I made it clear that I will not visit detention facilities, even if they offered.
I take issue when there are inconsistencies when somebody calls you out on one small thing. If you have done and you've said all of these things, not just statistically, but, it has been that the numbers are there and this is true. And we're saying that this is what's going on because of Israel and because of Jews, but mainly because this is what Israel has done. And the question is, have you even, not just like, have you looked at it, but have you been able to see if I'm reading something and I go, okay, I believe this and I believe that. But if I ask you about it without that, can you answer me directly? That's your job.
Yeah.
It goes through your office. So how dare you have the chutzpah to say, well, it's not really my job because they gave it to your department. Isn't it still part of your department to vet something? You're a journalist. If you say something wrong and it hasn't been fact checked, how does that fall on you?
Well, it's 100% my fault.
Exactly.
To issue an apology.
An apology.
Retraction.
But no. Apparently, according to the United Nations, it doesn't really fall on them. If it's come to them, it might say later on, it came to my attention that we might have been wrong in something. She had one moment where she could have answered, but of course, demonizing Israel is the most important thing. And that's what they're going against. And how dare you think that it actually makes sense to land such a massive claim with everything else that you've said and not even sending aid to Gaza? There's so many different violations that have gone on. But according to her, the superiority that she has sitting where she is for an organization that's actually failed humanity for decades, because it has nothing to do with, helping you. Try asking a child in Africa with kwashiorkor and a fly that's not a paid actor, by the way, where all the money that has been donated for decades and decades has gone. Those kids are still in encampments. Those children are still being murdered. Those families are still being ripped apart. Let's talk about Boko Haram. There's so many different things that they've done. But in that one moment, because of Israel, she took it upon herself to say, It's not really my job. It's the information's right there.
So vile.
No, the UN turned their back on us as women as well. Like, as a child, as a girl, like I was born in Iran, and there are so many girls who weren't blessed enough to be able to leave to another country. I was blessed with this, like with this future I could have here in Israel, and I had. And every time I look at it, and I was 15 when I dreamt about being on that stage talking about girls in Iran and how 9-year-old girls get married and they are actually sold like to men in their like 60s. But like it's so painful, and it became even more painful after October 7th, when 2 years I was waiting for 2 years for the UN show up and say, hey, like something happened there in Israel on October 7th. They were like, oh, we don't have evidence. Evidence. Oh, wait. Let me bring them back.
Where's the evidence? We can't see it. We can't see the evidence.
Bring them
Ray Charlesing.
No. And then they made Iran, like the IRGC, as the head of the Women Council, whatever.
And now they're doing it again, by the way. Just yesterday, they were nominated for another position in the UN.
Unbelievable. Really, I don't understand.
I don't know. I'm like, ugh. Sorry.
No.
Your scumbag, so guys.
My scumbag, yeah.
And on that note.
No, so on that note, I will say bonjour to Jean-Noël Barrot, France's Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs. And he just announced that France will pursue action over alleged mistreatment of the French activists of the Gaza flotilla and whatever. And yeah, he's like, he said like many things against Israel and about like how we're not cool and how we're not okay. But let me just ask you one thing. If a boat comes into your war zone, what would you do? If those people, like a lot of people just comment on those things, just let the flotillas get to Gaza. But when they will be killed or the women there will be raped by the Hamas terrorists, who would be to blame again? Israel? And also, if you're making those flotillas, I want you to make like small groups hiking over to Ukraine and helping the Ukrainian people. I want to see how the Russians will act when you...
Exactly.
No. When
Go
you
through the Strait of Hormuz. What's the problem?
No, oh, you know what? Go.
Send Greta's
Strait is amazing. Yeah. You'll have saffron, you will have gas, you will have chai. Great. And the prisons, delicatesse. Okay, whatever. I'm just so tired of politicians trying to like be like stood it up and just try to talk and not understanding the ground. And I'm so sorry for you, monsieur. That's it. I just like
that's very French.
I'm gonna be turning 25 next month, and I feel like I'm 52.
Hey.
Well, you don't look it, so
stop.
Neither do you.
I'm not yet.
Wait,
very close. Okay.
So my scumbag this week, as we wrap up our scumbaggery for this episode, my scumbag is actually connected to my hero, which I'll get to in a second. But my scumbags are Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker, who were just banned from the UK. I actually, to clarify, I don't think they were banned. I think they were denied entry. I believe Hassan's visa was just canceled. He can apply for another, but has not. Meanwhile, they're on a tragedy tour whining about how the Israeli government forced the UK government to deny them entry because they're Israel first. Whatever that means, I'm not really sure. But let me just go through a few things that Hassan Piker has done in case anyone is under the mistaken impression that this is an issue of free speech. Hassan Piker is a person who has openly called for the assassination of the U.S. president. This is someone who has publicly stated that Americans deserve 9/11. This is someone who has explicitly and repeatedly called for political violence. He has advocated in favor of the murderer of the United Healthcare CEO. He's praised this event. He has excused it and stated that this is as a result of social murder from the rich people in America. everything about his ideology is radical, jihadist, communist, and pro-violence. And he also is now just received a subpoena from the Department of Justice over his potential sanctions violations with his relationship in Cuba, going to Cuba, visiting Cuba, etc. He's a complete scumbag, an awful, disgusting human being who shouldn't be allowed anywhere. He should be in jail, frankly. And Cenk is actually his uncle, fun fact. I guess explains a lot of their obsession. Yeah. Cenk is an angry, sweaty asshole who thinks that screaming at people on the internet is an actual argument. Yeah. All of his ideology circles back to somehow Muslims being persecuted. Of course, not Arabs, because he himself is not an Arab. And he actually doesn't have a connection to this conflict or this issue, but he's co-opted it because he's Muslim. Therefore, everything has to do with Muslims. They're discriminating because he's Muslim. Israel is engaging in Gaza because Muslims. Israel's in Lebanon because Muslims. Muslims. It's not about Muslims. Nobody cares that you're Muslim, Cenk. Israel has 20% of this country that is Muslim with full citizens with equal rights. You're just a douchebag that no one actually wants to listen to, who can't make credible arguments. So now that I've broken down who these people actually are and the fact that they were denied entry, I want to emphasize the fact that the reason they were denied entry is not, in fact, Israel or anything to do with Israel. The reasons that we know so far, and it just broke, so I don't have all the details yet, is because of the comments that Cenk has made minimizing and or denying, not sure which, the grooming gangs in the UK, which is horrible, awful cases of young girls, from anywhere from 10 to 17 who were gang raped by Pakistani groups of jihadists who in some cases drugged and kidnapped these girls and had them in different houses where they were basically pimping them out to other men. Disgusting scenes, a lot of torture that went along with that rape. And to hear someone minimizing it because, Muslims are actually the victims in a scenario like this is just beyond.
Hey, wait, I'm concerned about a lot of Muslims in Britain. Okay, maybe I believe you if that seems to be your concern. But wait a minute, they say the same thing about America, and there's barely any Muslims in America. So that's how you could tell it's propaganda, because it's not really related to the facts. It's related to news events around Israel. Whenever Israel's in the news in a bad way, you'll see a whole heap of people attacking Muslims in UK, US, and everywhere else, as if they're the real problem. Muslims in the West have almost no power. People who support Israel have nearly infinite power. These are obvious facts.
But that's the real reason why he was banned, which actually brings us to our heroes of the week. This is funny because she's actually been my scumbag, and she is indeed a scumbag. But for this move, she's my hero of the week, Shabana Mahmoud, who's known for being an anti-Israel activist herself. She has been a part of the Free Palestine movement. She's been at protests where they were chanting for intifada. She's refused to condemn this in some cases. She is not a good person. However, she was right about this move. I'm sure it came under tremendous pressure from other people in the government, but she did. She is the one who ultimately made that decision as the minister to revoke those visas and deny them entry. And for that, she earns a very temporary hero of the week. But the whole fiasco is just so enjoyable to watch. The hysteria on social media about how they're being persecuted and they're being silenced. I love when people say that their right to free speech is being violated when they're on X with hundreds of thousands of followers and that post alone has like 500,000 views.
Making money.
No, it's funny how that always works out, because now all of a sudden he's the victim. Is this where we've come to now that we're living in a world where you can't even say what you feel and what you feel? Sir, I literally tweeted him back saying, I'm so glad that you finally took this workout class called FAFOs. But I don't recommend that you have a lifetime membership because, it's worse than Ozempic face, because he looks ill the whole time, and he's always foaming at the mouth and the point. And I always go back to what happened in Turkey when that guy, one of the ministers or something like that, said something really vile against Israel and then dropped right away and then died a few days later. I'm like, just be careful, just in case you might foam too much one day, and that's what's going to happen. But I think it is beautiful, and it's funny just a poetic justice that it didn't come from anyone that is even anywhere near our side. It came from an enemy of Israel and an enemy of the Jews that did it to you. You need better friends.
And the whole idea about free speech is also ridiculous because, of course, none of these people had any comment on the fact that I think it was 12 or 13 different speakers for that the right-wing rally were denied entry to the UK as well. This is not really unusual for them. So the idea that they're somehow being discriminated against because of Israel is really, really rich. But yeah, that's my scumbags and my heroes of the week. So Colin, who's your hero?
My hero, listen. I was too heightened. I was like too like the blue moon and everything. It just affects me. I'm a Sagittarius rising and everything. So listen, I'm gonna be chill about it. Kamiar Fayaz is my hero, and sometimes you don't need to say much, but I will elaborate. Just watch this.
I've got an important message to the Jewish community in the UK and in Birmingham. If you are ever intimidated to raise this flag, if you are ever intimidated to be Jewish, just watch the following clip of how Iranians here in the streets of Birmingham stand up for the people of Israel. Let's watch the clip.
You are stuck on Israel. Israel's your entire personality. From what? From radical Islam and Hamas. From river to the sea, Israel will be free. Long live. There's 200,000 Muslims in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, you got delusional, radical Islamists in the UK saying there's a genocide. Let me define the genocide they talk about. Anytime Palestine starts a war they can't finish, it becomes a genocide. It becomes a genocide.
Wow. I have tears watching this because there were times where I was afraid to even say I'm from Israel or speak Hebrew on a taxi when I was living in Madrid or traveling to the UK or traveling to Paris. And just seeing this and seeing how people are there and they're showing up for the Israelis. And Kamiar Fayaz is an activist and he's a commentator and he's going really hard against extreme Islamists. And it's just so beautiful to see that every week he's there, standing there with an Israeli flag, rising it high, when I know that
in Birmingham.
Wow. And people they have bodyguards everywhere in schools, in even when you go to a grocery store, like a kosher grocery stores, they have security everywhere. And he's standing there with his flag high. And this is something that represents a lot of Iranians all over the world. When we were afraid to even speak Hebrew, to even say we're from Israel, they went outside with the Israeli flags and they supported us. After October 7th, when we wanted the hostages back home, they were there with orange balloons, with those flags. And I have literal chills, bro. Thank you, man.
Wow. That's
really.
That is so wonderful to see. I agree with you. It's really heartening. There's there are a few people who are willing to come out and say, what the hell is wrong with you? Why is everyone an idiot? And it's really, really, really heartening. And I have to say, I've never ever wanted to be a man, but there is something about the safety in being a man that also allows you to do things like this. I don't think I could do that on the street and know that I would be safe because I'm very little and I am not well trained in any martial art. But to see a guy who is strong and confident and obviously can take on a guy or two, it's I would hide behind him. It's nice to
I'll have
see.
him come to Oxford in a few weeks. Oh
yeah, that's a really good idea.
He should come.
He should come. He should come.
Bellamy, who's your hero of the week?
My hero for this week is Spencer Pratt, and it's on the eve of the mayoral race in Los Angeles today, but also with everything we've just spoken about with Mamdani. I think what I have seen with this man is what I want to congratulate him on. There's no specific video or anything. It's just
really
literally,
with all these videos.
No, I know there's so many, but it's not just one specific thing. It's not one specific clip that really reaches out there to me to say that's the one. It's how steadfast he has been since saying, I'm going to run for mayor, and he's seeing it all the way through. As somebody that comes from the entertainment industry, who lost his house in the fires in the Palisades, but actually understands people on the ground, and he's not afraid to say, no, this is not a housing issue. These are people that are high on drugs, and there are things that they could do. They could go to a homeless shelter and start to get clean and whatever. There are structures there, but they just are choosing that this is what they're going to do. And with the leaders that are already, if you want to call them leaders, I mean, Karen. Sorry for you, girl.
That's really her name.
That's
Karen.
really actually her name.
And she is awful.
And I saw a clip of her, and it's like this, clown circus type of trans woman somewhere who's black with yellow hair going, yes, mama, you're the one. And that's the thing with hearing one thing of saying trans lives matter. All of a sudden, people out there that have been fear-mongered, where everything falls into identity politics, they're going to say, oh, well, she cares about us. Where was she when your houses were burning down? She was in Africa having a very relaxed time, by the way. And what has she actually done? What I love about him is that you can connect with him on a human level, where he's not a politician. And people in Hollywood are saying, well, Hannah Einbaum, why would I ever vote for somebody that's in the entertainment industry? Why would I? Well, first of all, you hate yourself, so don't even get me started. But a lot of Hollywood has come out against him. And then there are those that you would have never expected to say, no, we're done.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enough.
I mean, LA has been completely captured by radical left, not left, okay?
Correct.
Radical left for many years. I mean, Gavin Newsom is a complete joke. They have destroyed that state. They've destroyed that state. And I'm from LA, so this is like very irritating to me because it's such a beautiful state. There's so much to offer, and there's so much diversity, and there's so many good things. And they have literally, from top to bottom, destroyed this state. Yeah. It's unbelievable what they've done. I made Aliyah. 5 years later, I went back to visit LA, and I didn't recognize it. It was it was like a homeless apocalypse.
Exactly.
And it's all because of mismanagement of government. They don't know how to balance a budget. They don't know how to provide services that they tax the crap out of their citizens for. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening. And Karen Bass is such a joke. Anybody who votes for her literally doesn't have brain cells left. I can't. How can you be a Democrat and vote Karen Bass? How?
Because
I don't understand.
For so many people, those that are in an elite bubble, it works in their favor because they're not touched by any of that.
They're not impacted.
They're nowhere near impacted by that. I was in the States a few months ago. Well, not even a few months ago. A few weeks ago, I was just in Los Angeles. You leave Beverly Hills, it almost feels like you leave the world. Unless you're in some kind of bubble and you're actually driving around LA, it is a drugged out zombie.
Wow. Yeah, it's very scary.
How scary that even when everybody wants open borders, everybody wants to have a sanctuary city, they would much rather do that to citizens and leave them like that. But open up hotels, use psychiatric wards as homesteads for illegal immigrants that are actually more of a problem and are more of a deficit to your own city and to your own people than that. So I fully support Spencer Pratt. And I love the fact that even with where he is, where he stands, he's not a politician, he's not whatever. I hope people can hold you accountable if you take over as mayor. Good luck, Spencer. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow.
All right, Shoshana, who's your hero? Last but not least.
My hero is actually a beautiful counter to the Mamdani-ness of this whole episode, and that's Jessica Tisch. The question was regarding, do you feel security and, not showing up to the parade? And she said, well, here, watch what she said.
Police Commissioner, do you have any concerns about the mayor not being there for security reasons too?
No, it's the mayor's decision not to march, and it is my decision to march proudly.
I mean, what else do you have to say? It's like we used to do in high school. Like, she just burned you because you just look like an idiot, like a dope.
Your police commissioner, she says, well, it's his decision not to march and it's my decision to be proudly there. And that's it. That's all you have to say, because that's what it means to have pride in who you are. That's what it means to have pride in your city. It's what it means to stand next to people and say, yes, I share with you. I share with you, even if I don't agree everything. That's what it means to be a New Yorker, you idiot. Sorry, this is about the hero. Jessica, thank you for being my hero. Thank you for saying in very few words what we would all like to say to Mamdani. Very, very well said, my lady.
I think she showed elegance and mic drop like so
better than me. I can't keep it in.
It was just like,
she was like
done proudly.
Yeah.
Yes,
when I saw that, I was like,
my heroine. Thank you.
She's definitely a hero. Definitely a hero this week. And then Donnie definitely a scumbag,
yes.
I think, for all of us. Well, we're really into the cities today. We have Los Angeles, New York, Iran. Hopefully, all of them will be
Birmingham.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that pretty much does it for this week on the Quad. But of course, we'll be back next week on JNS with more of the latest of what's happening. And we hope that the situation will be better for Los Angeles, Birmingham, Iran,
New York.
and New York, all of them, all of the above.